Spring is in the air, and while we're all probably looking forward to the fresh blooms and warmer breezes, there's something else that can really, well, take root this time of year.
Something not quite so welcome, maybe.
Exactly. We're talking about mold, specifically mold in your HVAC system.
Oh, yes.
So this deep dive, we're going to unpack why the spring thaw can be prime time for this problem. And more importantly, give everyone the inside track on spotting those warning signs. We're drawing on some really great insights from the folks at Vacu-Man Furnace and Duct Cleaning.
That's right. As things warm up and, all that snow and ice melts away, we get a real surge in moisture.
Yeah.
Especially in those kind of tucked away spots where HVAC systems often live, basements, crawl spaces.
The damp zones.
Exactly. And this extra humidity mixed with the everyday dust and organic bits that just build up in your ductwork.
That's the network that pushes the air around.
Yeah, precisely. That combination, unfortunately, sets the stage for mold to really thrive in the ducts, the furnace, even the AC unit.
And if you ignore it...
Well, it's more than just a nuisance. It can have a genuine impact on the air quality inside your home. A big one.
Okay. So our goal today is pretty straightforward, but it's something every homeowner should probably be aware of.
Definitely.
We want to give you the knowledge to be your own sort of first detector,
Right.
To recognize those early clues that might point to mold growth, especially now during the spring thaw. And this isn't just about dodging a costly repair down the line.
No, it's more than that.
It's about looking out for your health, potentially saving on energy bills, and definitely keeping your home's essential systems running smoothly.
Right.
We're really going to focus on understanding those key indicators that Vacu-Man has highlighted for us.
Okay, so let's get into why the spring thaw is such good news for mold. As we touched on, the main driver is that jump in moisture.
Right, all the melting snow, the rain.
Exactly, melting snow, rising temperatures. They really crank up the humidity levels, particularly, like I said, in those lower levels of the house.
And it's not just the dampness itself, is it? It's where the systems are.
You got it. Basements, crawl spaces, places we don't think about much day to day.
Yeah.
They can be naturally more humid environments anyway, especially after a snowy winter. So you get this double whammy.
Increased moisture right where the HVAC lives.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And mold, fundamentally, it's a living thing, right? It loves warm, moist environments where it has a food source.
And the food source is just dust.
Well, yeah, dust, pollen, pet dander, all those organic particles that naturally collect in our ductwork, furnaces, AC units over time.
Okay.
So that combination, it's just the perfect breeding ground for mold to take hold and, well, start to spread.
Okay, let's dig a bit deeper there. So moisture, warmth, food, check, check, check. What happens then? How does it progress if it starts growing?
If it's left to its own devices, mold can spread surprisingly quickly inside an HVAC system.
Really? Fast?
Yeah, it releases these microscopic spores into the air.
Ugh.
And as your system cycles air through the house heating, cooling those spores just hitch a ride.
Ah, so it distributes itself.
Exactly. And that's where the real consequences for indoor air quality come in. It can potentially affect the health, the comfort of everyone living there.
That paints a pretty clear picture. So what are the telltale signs? What should people listening be actually looking for? What are the red flags?
Okay, one of the earliest and often most obvious clues is noticing unusual smells.
Smells? Like what?
Specifically, be alert for musty or damp odors. Think of that sort of earthy, stale smell.
Like a damp basement smell.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe like old decaying leaves, that kind of thing.
Right, that generally unpleasant smell you can't quite place. And where's it coming from within the system?
Well, according to Vacu-Man, these smells often start right inside the ductwork or the air handler itself.
The air handler, that's the main unit that moves the air.
That's the one, the box that circulates the conditioned air. And because the whole point of the system is to move air everywhere.
The smell doesn't stay put.
Nope. Yeah, it gets distributed wherever your vents are. So if you're consistently noticing a musty smell around the house, even if you can't see a source, your HVAC could definitely be the culprit.
Okay, so that's a key early warning.
Yeah.
Those persistent musty smells. Got it. What's another indicator? What else should raise a red flag?
Another really important sign to pay attention to is an increase in allergy-like symptoms.
Allergy symptoms.
Yeah. Has anyone in the house been experiencing more sneezing, coughing, watery eyes? Stuff like that. especially, and this is key, around the time when your heating or air conditioning is actually running.
Ah, that's a really interesting point because it's easy to just blame seasonal allergies in spring, right?
Totally. Pollen's everywhere.
But the timing relative to the HVAC running, that could be the clue.
Absolutely. When mold grows in the system, it releases those spores into the airflow. We talked about that. When that contaminated air circulates, you breathe them in. And for people with allergies or, respiratory sensitivities,
It makes things worse.
it can really trigger or worsen their symptoms. So if you notice a pattern symptoms flare up when the furnace or AC kicks on, it's definitely something worth looking into more closely.
Okay, so strange smells, check. Increased allergy symptoms linked to the system, check. What about actually seeing the mold? Is that likely?
Well, mold often prefers to grow in those darker hidden spots inside the system, where it's humid and undisturbed.
Makes sense.
But visible mold growth is certainly another key indicator to be aware of. Vacu-Man points out you might spot it near your air vents.
Okay.
Or maybe on the surface of the air filters when you pull them out to change them.
Ah.
Or in any other parts of the system that are, relatively easy for a homeowner to access and just take a look at.
And what are we looking for visually? Like, what does it actually look like?
The appearance can vary a bit, depends on the type of mold, but common signs are like black, green, or even white spots or patches.
Okay.
It might look a bit fuzzy or sometimes slimy, depending on the moisture levels and how much growth there is. Obviously, if you do see something that looks like that, it's a pretty clear sign there's likely a bigger issue hiding inside the system.
Definitely sounds like something you don't want to ignore. Now, the last key sign Vacu-Man mentions is inefficient HVAC performance. How does mold actually affect how well the system works?
Well, mold buildup inside the system, especially in the ductwork or, say, on components of the furnace or the AC unit, it can actually create a physical blockage.
Like clog things up?
Exactly. It obstructs the airflow. This forces your system to work harder than it should to push the air through and get your house to the temperature you set on the thermostat.
Okay, so it's like the system is trying to breathe through something that's partially blocked. That makes sense.
Precisely. And this reduced efficiency, it can show up in a couple of ways you might notice.
Such as?
You might see your monthly energy bills creeping up, maybe quite a bit, even if you haven't changed how you use the system.
Okay, higher bills.
And you might also find your home just isn't heating or cooling as well as it used to. Maybe some rooms feel consistently warmer or cooler than others.
Uneven temperatures.
Yeah. Now, there can be other reasons for those issues, for sure.
Sure.
But investigating for potential mold growth as a cause, definitely a worthwhile step.
So if you're seeing any combination of these things, the musty smells, the allergy flare-ups when the system's on, actually seeing mold, or noticing the system just isn't working as well, what should you do? Like, immediately?
Okay, the very first thing Vacu-Man strongly recommends, turn off your HVAC system immediately.
Just shut it down.
Yep. It's crucial because, like we said, running it will only circulate those mold spores more. Makes the air quality potentially worse.
Right. Stop the spread. Got it. What's next?
The next immediate step, go check your air filters. And honestly, in most cases, just replace them.
Even if they don't look moldy.
Yeah. Regularly changing filters is good practice anyway, right? But during spring thaw, it's even more important. Clogged filters, full of dust and debris. They're a great place for any spores already there to latch onto and grow.
Oh, okay.
So putting in a clean one is a simple way to minimize potential further issues, even if you don't see obvious mold right there on the filter.
Okay, quick filter check and probably replace. Simple enough. Yeah. Now, what about actually getting rid of mold that's, already settled in? What's the advice there?
Right. So while it might be tempting for homeowners to think, oh, I can just spray something on it or use some DIY method.
Yeah, bleach it or something.
Vacu-Man really advises against that.
Yeah.
They strongly recommend calling in professional help.
Okay, why's that?
Dealing with mold in an HVAC system effectively and safely, it really needs specialized knowledge, proper equipment, specific techniques to make sure it's thoroughly removed and doesn't just, come right back.
Right.
In fact, trying to clean it improperly can sometimes actually make the problem worse by disturbing the spores and spreading them even more.
Ah, didn't think of that. And Vacu-Man themselves, they specialize in this, right? It's not just general cleaning for them.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
They focus on comprehensive HVAC cleaning, and that includes professional mold remediation.
Okay.
They really emphasize, ensuring the air inside your home is safe and clean. They have the expertise to properly figure out how bad the mold growth is.
Assess the situation.
Exactly. And then use the right industry-approved methods to get rid of it effectively. and helps stop it coming back.
So it sounds like it's worth asking any professional you call, what tests they do, what specific methods they use beyond just a basic clean.
That's a very good point. Ask about their process.
Okay, so fixing an existing problem definitely sounds like a job for the pros. But what about preventing it? What can homeowners do proactively, especially now in spring, to stop mold getting a foothold in the first place?
Yeah, prevention is definitely the best approach here. Vacu-Man highlights a few really important proactive things you can do.
Like what?
First and foremost, schedule regular professional HVAC cleaning.
Not just changing the filter, but the whole system?
Right. Routine maintenance, thorough cleaning by qualified technicians that removes the built-up dust, debris, and any dormant mold spores before they get a chance to really establish themselves and multiply.
Like a preventative spring clean for your furnace and duct.
Exactly. Get rid of the food source and any early spores.
Makes sense. What else?
Investing in a good quality dehumidifier, especially for those areas where the HVAC system lives, basement, crawl space.
Control the moisture.
Yep. It can be really effective at controlling those excess moisture levels, particularly during the spring thaw, when outdoor humidity is often higher.
Okay.
By actively keeping the air drier, you're making it much less hospitable for mold. Ideally, you want the relative humidity between, say, 30% and 50%.
Is there a way to measure that?
Yeah, some dehumidifiers actually have built-in meters, hygrometers, to help you monitor it. Or you can get a separate one fairly cheap.
Good tip. So dehumidifier helps make the environment less mold-friendly. What's the last key preventative tip?
They also strongly recommend regularly checking for any signs of water leaks or just excess moisture around the HVAC unit itself or along the ductwork.
Looking for drips or damp spots.
Exactly. Even small, seemingly insignificant leaks or damp patches can lead to a slow buildup of moisture over time. And that creates those consistently damp conditions mold just loves.
Why?
Catching and fixing any leaks quickly is relatively simple, usually, but absolutely crucial for prevention.
Okay, so regular pro cleaning, manage humidity with the dehumidifier, and keep an eye out for leaks. All really actionable things homeowners can do.
Definitely.
Now, let's circle back to Vacu-Man. You mentioned their specific expertise. What really sets them apart, according to them?
Well, Vacu-Man really focuses on that goal of clean indoor air. They have loads of experience specifically in cleaning HVAC systems and dealing with mold. They emphasize using what they call industry-leading techniques, basically ensuring a really comprehensive, thorough cleaning of the whole system.
Not just a quick vacuum near the vents?
Exactly. Not just the easy-to-reach parts. It's this comprehensive approach that really helps get rid of existing mold effectively and, just as importantly, helps prevent it coming back.
And they're local to a specific area, right? For listeners in that region, where do they operate?
Yes, they cover a pretty wide area. Hamilton, Oakville, Burlington, Milton, Grimsby, Brantford, St. Catharines, and the whole Niagara region, actually.
Okay, quite a range.
Yeah. So if you're listening in any of those areas and you're worried about mold, or maybe you just want to schedule a preventative cleaning, you can call them.
Do you have a number?
I do. It's 905-333-5454. You can call to book something or just ask questions about their services.
And their hours.
They're open Monday through Saturday, 8:00 a.m. to 5:00 p.m. They also have a physical location in Hamilton at 4 Lyndhurst Street.
Good to know.
So yeah, if you're in their service zone and you suspect a problem or just want to be proactive about clean air, they're definitely a valuable local resource to check out.
That's all really good practical info. So just to quickly recap everything we've covered, the spring thaw, well, welcome, brings moisture. That moisture, especially in basements or crawl spaces where HVAC often lives, creates ideal conditions for mold.
Right.
Key warning signs to watch for. Those musty smells, allergy symptoms flaring up when the system runs, actually seeing mold in your vents or filters, and the system just not working as efficiently. Higher bills, uneven temps.
Those are the big ones.
If you notice these, first step, turn the system OFF immediately. Stop the spread. Second, check and probably replace your air filter.
Crucial first steps.
But for actually removing the mold properly, call in the professionals. It needs specialized handling.
Absolutely. Don't DIY mold remediation in HVAC.
And proactively. Regular professional HVAC cleaning, using a dehumidifier in damp areas, and checking regularly for leaks around the system and ducts. Those are your best defenses.
Spot on.
And if you're in the Hamilton, Niagara, surrounding areas we mentioned, Vacu-Man furnace and duct cleaning is a local expert specializing in exactly this.
Absolutely. Look, don't let the potential for mold growth put a damper on your spring. By staying informed, being observant, taking those proactive steps, you can really help ensure healthier indoor air for you and your family all year round, really.
Yeah, well said. And on that note, here's maybe a final thought to chew on. We often focus on outdoor air quality, right? Smog reports, pollen counts. But how often do we really think hard about the air inside our homes, where we spend so much time?
Good question.
What unseen factors, beyond just the seasons or mold, might be subtly influencing our health and comfort, indoors, day in, day out? And what other steps, beyond just HVAC stuff, could we explore to cultivate a consistently healthier indoor space? Not just for spring, but always. Something to think about.